Hello, everybody. It's Kate Richberg, and welcome to my segment for the Great Bead Extravaganza. It's great to have you all here today. Um, and we're going to have a fun day, fun times today. It's been great. Everybody's um, presentations have been just amazing. I loved seeing Andrew's new space at Star Cottage, and Candy had such great information as always. So it's great to be a part of this super extravaganza, the biggest virtual bead show on the web. So I've got a lot to get through today, so let's start doing some housekeeping and getting you the information you need all about my segment. Okay, so let me start with, I need to add, what a surprise. I need to add that overlay in here. Sorry about that. I thought I had it queued up, but you know how it is. You know how it is when you're going live, right? Sometimes everything isn't quite ready. Well, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for you. So today, Saturday, tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday, I have two offers for you. As you know, I come to you live every Wednesday and Friday right on the beadshop.com website at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. This 11 o'clock thing is throwing me off today, right? Because it's for Great Bead Extravaganza. But you can find two great specials from me today. So one you can find for katerichbergjewelry.com. And that's where I have this kit, not really the kit, but the supplies actually that I'm using in this project. And if you enter free beads in the order notes, and I will send you a bead treat with your order. And then I've got one special one for beadshop.com. I'm only sharing it here in the group. It didn't go out in a newsletter or anything. If you enter TGBE20, you'll save 20% store-wide on beadshop.com. And if you want more seed beads today than what I list for my project, if you want to do an alternate colorway or anything, you can hop over there and put in that code and get all the seed beads you want. So let me also say here, you guys can find me on my social, Instagram at BeadKate, subscribe and like me at Bead at Kate Richberg on our YouTube channel. Some of you who are watching on the YouTube channel, this broadcast will be archived over there on my personal YouTube, so you can watch it again and again, especially when you're creating this project. It'll also be archived right here in the Great Bead Extravaganza group. And if you want to join me for more things, Kate Richberg, you can join my group, Create with Kate Richberg, and of course my page at Kate Richberg Jewelry Educator, all on Facebook. You can also find me, as I said, over on Bead Shop, and you can follow all the Bead Shop social, which I know a lot of you do. Beadshop.com on Insta. Join us at the Bead Table on our Facebook group, and like and subscribe us over at beadshop.com on YouTube. So I'll repeat those offers at the end of this broadcast, so you'll be able to see them, but you can also take a screenshot right now if you want. 3, 2, 1, screenshot. Perfect. It's also, this offer is listed over in the Great Bead Extravaganza on the page as well. So let's see who's watching. All right, it's great to see everyone. It looks, oh, great. I love people. I love that you loved the countdown. Thank you so much. I'm coming to you live from my studio at home. It is a big old mess behind me. You can see my sewing machine over there and some stuff that needs to be put away. And I don't have anything on the walls behind me, but you will be seeing this evolve over time. So I'm super excited here. So if you guys have issues with the feed, and that not only includes me, but anyone else who is watching throughout the day. Remember, if you're watching on a data plan, sometimes Facebook freezes or it throttles your data a little bit. So make sure that you connect to Wi-Fi so you don't see things freeze up. But if they do, or if you're having any glitches, you can jump out close your program, jump back in, and you will be good to go. So we really, really appreciate you always being very patient with us with some technical difficulties as we come at you from all over the country. And I know that all of you all are watching from all over the world. So thank you so, so much, because without you guys out there, we here at the Great Bead Extravaganza and all of our small companies wouldn't be here. So thank you so much. You can also jump over, if you're having trouble with Facebook, you can jump over to my YouTube channel, Kate Richburg, and watch it there. Okay, so that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So let's get this show on the road. I'm going to pull my demo camera. You can see that. Let me get it over here. And I'm going to switch views so you guys can see what we've got going on. Let's go ahead and add that to the stream right there. And let's take a look at what I've got in front of me. So I thought long and hard about the project that I was going to do for the Great Bead. And, you know, I've been doing a lot of seed beads lately over on beadshop.com. So I kind of wanted to continue with my seed bead journey. I love seed beads, right? I love to work with seed beads. I love all of that business. And so I decided to keep going with it. Okay. For those of you who've been watching me for a while, you know that my seed bead stitch of choice, let me put this camera up a little bit. My seed bead stitch of choice is peyote stitch. I feel like with peyote stitch, you can, I don't know, you can really do anything, I feel, right? Because it's so versatile. You can do a flat peyote, which is what we're going to be doing today. You can do a round peyote, which we're also going to be doing today. You can also do kind of a mixed peyote stitch with all kinds of different beads, which we're not going to be doing today, but I have those tutorials over on Bead Shop, and a great place for that is the Bead Shop YouTube channel. So let me tell you a little bit about what you're going to need, okay, and what I've got listed over at Kate Richburg Jewelry. So the listing, if you go right to my website, katerichburgjewelry.com, and there's a little box right on the homepage that says the Great Bead Extravaganza Project. You click on that and everything comes up. Okay, so it's super easy. Okay, so we're going to be making two bangles today, or two bracelets. One, we're going to use this. I'm really loving this this bangle that I had designed especially for this project. I'm trying to get a little more light on here, so bear with me here. I need it to be a little bit brighter. There we go. Where's my production assistant? Where's my production assistant when I need them? Who am I kidding? I don't have a production assistant. So I had these great brass bangles made, and my wrist is a 6.5 inch. So it works really well with these bangles here. So if you have about a 6.5 inch wrist or a little bit larger, these are going to work out really well for you. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my camera scooting down. Let me try and secure it just a little bit tighter. Bear with me here for just a moment while I do that, because I don't like how this is moving at all. There we go. Let's try that. Okay. There we are. Oh, I'm glad you guys are liking this project. Thanks for so much for enjoying this, for liking this project. I like it too. I'm pretty stoked about it. So this is the bangle that is completed right here, and the bangle that has the channel right here. Okay, so I think this is a really easy one, especially if you do that flat peyote stitch. It's gonna, sorry, this camera For Pete's sake. I had it all set last night for the preview. Everything was going fine. Just bear with me here while you look at that pretty thing. I'm going to tighten this up. Next time we do this, I'm going to have to fly someone out to be my Steadicam person. There we go. Look at that. There we go. Let's pray to the bead gods that that's all going to stick. There we are. Okay. Better. Here we go. I know the gremlins are making it move, the Great Bead Extravaganza gremlins, but this is a lot better. So here's the cuff, the brass cuff, and I have the channel here in the center. And then this flat peyote, you can see I've used size 11 beads, 11 knots, right? And that peyote stitch sits beautifully into the channel. So that's one, okay? Then I have this round peyote, okay, right here. And this is peyote stitch in the round, and I'm doing it over this tubing. This is a 4 millimeter tubing, okay? And the beauty about this, I've been thinking about this project. I've wanted to make this project actually for years, and I finally found everything to do it with. So I've got these large hole gemstone beads that I'm just in super love with. So I'm going to just do one, but you could do two if you wanted like this to be a little bit extra, right? And I'm going to show you how I start this and glue it and everything. I'm going to use the smoky topaz on mine. This is a rubber tubing. It's a rubber, very pliable tubing here. And I've got it on my website, right? The exact size that you're going to need that fits through these beads. But I found I've been hoarding these for a while. I've actually had them for quite some time, and I earmarked them from this project. It does kind of look like a bowl of lifesavers, doesn't it? It really does. So you could use the smoky topaz like I'm going to use. You could also use the carnelian. Gita, thank you as always for linking. You are so appreciated all the time. This red, these are dyed. The red and the green are a dyed onyx. They're pretty color fast. I've tested them, I've washed them, I've soaked them, so they're not bleeding any color. So I'm really pretty pleased with how these go. So the red and the green, I've got just black onyx here. I've got some amethyst, some citrine, and some chalcedony. So you can choose whatever colors you like. And all of these have holes that are large enough. I mean, heck, I just want to get a bunch of these and just string a whole bunch on the cord and then maybe do a shorter peyote stitch or whatever. You know, I don't know, whatever you think. I love that you guys are saying that these are Fruit Loops or they are lifesavers. They are not. They are gemstones. My darling darlings, look at them. They're just really great. So let me get this one here that we're going to need. Okay. Yeah, give me a whole pack. Give me a whole pack of them lifesavers. I know, aren't they gorgeous? So you can find them. I've got a limited supply. So when I'm out, I'm out. So hopefully you guys will be able to grab them. And so here's my peyote stitch piece. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, but you're also going to, you don't need them, but I designed actually these beautiful little sliders right here, right? These little guys, and they slide around on this too. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with those guys. So let me show you some measurements. I think people are asking about measurements for these. So these, and they're on the website as well, but this is about a 12 millimeter here, outside diameter. This is about a 14 millimeter. It's about a 14.2 millimeter sized hole, so it fits on that cord. And then again, this piece here, the measurements again are on my website, but it fits really nicely on, really comfortable, seamless on the inside. And this is pure brass. So if you do want to coat the inside, you can with a little bit of clear nail polish. I don't. I like my metals to be raw. So that's how these are. And you could always use a little polishing pad to polish up the inside if you feel like you want to. Okay, so let's start, you guys, with this actual piece. So let me clear get some headway here and show you the beads that I'm using. Okay. Oh, the length of the rubber tubing, this is a foot. Thanks for asking, Gita, and I'll go ahead and add it to the description. Sorry about that. So I sell these by the foot. Okay, so I will go ahead and add that to the description. Sorry about that. Thanks, you guys, for being my proofreaders on that. So here is the seed beads that I've used. And in this one here, and you can use as many colors as you want. Okay, I just wanted a two color stripe here. Okay, so I used two separate ones. I used an 11-4222, the galvanized pewter, and then I used one of my very favorites, 11-2091, the matte metallic silver. And I love the way they go, kind of the shiny and the matte with it. In the one in the round peyote, and I've got a limited supply of these. They're kind of in short supply right now, I think, because of supply chain issues. I used the 4222 in this one, and then I used this gilding matte 11-aught metal seed bead right here. And so the pattern is really what I'm going to say, subtle, but I love the addition of metal. Now, a caveat here, I used every single, and I'm not kidding, down to the finish line of these 4222s here. And I'm going to talk about the length and stuff on this guy because it's a little bit harder to get this round tubing, this round one measured out correctly. But you can also supplement in this round one, which I didn't, and I guess I should have, with the 11-2091. Or you can choose your own adventure. You can go right over to Bead Shop and choose the seed beads that you liked. Okay. But now for this flat one here, let's start here. I've got to get this show on the road or else, I'm going to run out of time. So let me get my KO. I've used KO thread for this, and I've got my gray KO, which is right here. And I'm going to reel off, I don't know, about a yard. You can always add your thread, so don't worry about that too much. But I'm going to clip this off, and I'm going to just go ahead and thread my needle here. Who says we need to pre-thread our needles on a live broadcast, right? So let me dump, that's not a very elegant word. Let me gently pour out some 11-aughts in this 11-2091, the matte silver. And you want to be real careful because you're going to use, if you're going to make two bracelets out of these, you're going to pretty much use every single bead of this galvanized pewter. But you can always supplement in that round peyote, as I said, with that one. So here's my two. Now, I'm going to get really close on the camera. Now, many of you have done the peyote stitch, so I'm not going to belabor it because I want you guys to get into the round peyote with me. But essentially, when you start your peyote stitch, the first beads you put on are actually going to be the first two rows. Okay, so you can see I put 4 seed beads on there. Okay, and so I'm going to string these on in an alternating pattern, right? And so you're going to go ahead, and when I did this, all I did was I strung on my seed beads and I held them in the channel and I just made sure that they fit, which they do. Okay, so let me move these over so they're not in the background here. Now, the mantra for peyote stitch, I'm going to pull them down towards the end of my thread, but I'm going to have a nice tail here, and this tail of maybe about 6 inches or so. Now, the mantra for peyote stitch is, if you'll remember when you've done this with me, is add a bead. So it's going to be this same color right here. This is the matte silver. Add a bead. Skip a bead, which is this one right here. And go through a bead. Okay. So you see that right there. All right, so that actually now you can see is 1, 2, 3 rows. So we're going to continue with that. We're going to add a bead, and the bead color is the same color as you're skipping to make that row. And we'll go through a bead. Since this is only 4 beads across, now it's really just 2 beads a row. So I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to go back to adding a bead. Now we're in that galvanized pewter. So I'm going to add a bead, skip that pewter bead, and go through the matte silver bead. Add a bead, skip a bead, and go through the final matte silver. Okay, so this is all even count, right? This is both of these that I'm doing today are even count peyote. Odd count peyote, my buddy Emily, who has been on many a bead shop broadcast with me, did a great tutorial on odd count peyote. And it was really a good one. So, but when I want to do kind of mindless beading, which sometimes I do, I just want to stitch, and have fun. Then this even count peyote is what it's all about for me. And so can you see how I wanted to maintain the tension like this? So I had a little bit of extra thread right here. So I pulled on this last bead, pulling that tension and tightening it in. And yeah, the first few rows can try your patience, but you guys, this is only a 2 bead row, right? So if you really screw up, just, stick with it, right? Because this is just 2 rows. And see how my tension is a little off here? That's okay, because as you come through this last bead, go ahead like I just did, pull it a little bit tighter, this final bead, and then pull, and you can see how it evens up on you. There we go. Oh, I don't know if you heard that meow, but maybe we'll have a nice boy make an appearance later. We'll see if he comes in. Okay. So let's go ahead and add a bead, skip a bead, and go through a bead. Add a bead, skip a bead, and go through a bead. Okay, I think you guys heard that meow. Maybe he'll come in. You never know. We've got some time. So here's my flat peyote stitch strip. Okay, and then that is going to sit right here on the inside. Okay, so what you're going to do is, and I've got some notes here, and I'll when you make your order, I'm going to print these notes out for you, so I'll include it. The flat peyote stitch, you're going to string on the 4 beads in the alternating pattern, right? And then you're going to stitch 92 rows. Okay, 92 rows of the 11, 42, 22, alternating with 92 rows of the 11 20, 91. Okay, so it's a total of 184 rows totally. Okay, and I used gray KO. I used the gray, but use whatever you want because the thread doesn't show so much. Okay, so um, so it's super easy. 184 rows, and as you're going, your tension may be a little bit looser or a little bit tighter than mine. So essentially, what I do is after those rows are stitched and I've got my long strip, I come in and I lay my strip all the way around my bangle, and I just come in and I zip it up. So my piece is coming here, and I weave it in, weave it out, and just weave it back a few steps, and that's it. It is held in here only by tension. So you can see it rotates around a bit, but it's in there. It's not coming off. Okay, so 184 rows, zip up the closure, and just make sure it's nice and tight in there, but that it does have a little bit of movement. All right, let's tackle the round now. Now the round, let me put this aside. The round, here's my rubber cord, and this is 4mm, as I said, so it fits through this slider bead. Okay, so I'm going to cut off another long piece of thread. This is going to be not quite so long, so I don't have to deal with the super long piece. But again, I go with about a yard. Now the round peyote is, I'm going to string 12 beads on here. Okay, so 12 of the 11-aughts. Let's needle the thread and not thread the needle. So come in, needle the thread. There we go. Not thread the needle. There we go. I've got to take it out of the frame for just a second, get a little closer to my eyeballs so I can see it. I threaded that other thread so easily, but you know what? Just take a breath and it'll all be good. Okay. So the round peyote, Mary Ellen is saying the round peyote does look a lot like the bead crochet. It really does. So for ease of you to be able to see this, you guys, I have just used the Duracoat, Duracoat galvanized pewter here, but I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to put 12 on, but I'm going to go from the matte to the shiny. Okay, and I'm going to put a total of 12. This will make it easier for you to see the stitch that I'm doing. So I'm going to count here. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of course, somebody's deciding to mow their lawn, so you're going to hear a little bit of the noise of suburbia. So sorry about that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Don't they know I'm broadcasting out to hundreds of people, right? Must they mow their lawn at this exact moment? Okay. So, oh, good. Okay, I'm glad you guys can't hear too much. No, Alfred's not mowing the lawn. So here's this. Okay, here's my back and forth, my 12 beads. So now, just to make it easy on me, I'm going to go ahead and tie those seed beads into a ring. Okay, like so, with with a square knot, right over left, left over right, and tighten it down. Okay, so I've got this ring here. Now, what I'm going to do, and I've got a good sized tail, so I can use that to weave if I want to. Now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to slide that ring onto the end of my rubber tubing. Okay, so, and I'll talk about the giveaway and everything at the end, you guys. Okay, I'm going to stay concentrating on what I've got here. Now, the same thing for the flat peyote you do for the round peyote. Okay, you're going to, and we're going to start here. This thread is my marker. Can you see that here? The thread is kind of my, that's where I'm going to, I'll look for this as I go around. So I'm going to add a bead. That'll be the same color bead that I'm skipping. So it's this matte silver. So I add a bead, I skip a bead, and then I go through this next bead. Notice, you guys, how I'm working off of the short end of this rubber cord as well. Okay, so let me tighten that up. My thread caught on the edge of my board, and now it's caught on my spool. Come on now. And we're going to tighten that up and see how the bead that I just put on displaced the bead above it. All right, so now we're going to repeat. I'm going to add a bead. It's the same color as I'm skipping. Okay, add a bead, skip a bead, go through a bead. Okay, and this is a complete seed bead basic for you. If you understand how to start this tubular peyote, and as Cindy is saying here, it is the basic for beaded bezel, for cabochons, for rivolis, etc. Okay, so it's real. This is a real good basic refresher for you guys. Okay, so I'll come through and just kind of flip that little bead where it goes. Okay, sometimes you have to do that with your fingernail to try to get it there. So just hang in there with this. All right, so now I'm going to pick up a bead. It's the same color of the bead that I'm skipping, and I go through a bead. Okay, so I'm going to go a little more at Kate's speed here. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through a bead. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through a bead. Now, if you'll notice, I've added 6 beads in this matte silver color, and I've ended up where I began. See here? With this knot. Now, this is the thing that I think sometimes confuses people, so I really want you to lean in here. This is where you're going to have to rewind this video and watch it again. Okay, I've ended at the knot. Can you see that there? Now, the only place for my needle to go, we have to step up. The only place that we can go is through that bead. Do you see that? Now I've stepped up a row. So I'm going to do that and go through it. Now we're going to just continue on our merry road. Look, I've gone through a bead. So I'm going to pick up a bead. Now, since the bead that I'm skipping is the pewter, the shiny pewter, that's the bead I'm picking up. So I pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through a bead. And see how those 2 11 knots on either side make just a little cubby hole for that new 11 to sit in. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through a bead. And I'm going to do that again. There's 6 beads now per row. Okay? And I have pretty good thread skills, right? I've been stitching most of my life. So I have pretty good thread wrangling skills. I am using a size 10 Sharps needle, which also helps me because this project is small. This size 10 Sharp is small, and it sits nicely. Okay, it really helps me wield that needle nicely. So pick up a bead, skip the bead of the same color, go through a bead. Okay, pick up a bead, skip that bead. Now I'm at the end. See here? Look at. Now this is our next step up, which it looks a little different, right? Because I need to go through this bead. This is the bead I go through. But look at that bead right next to it, that pewter bead. That's my step up. Okay? So step up. Now we're ready. And you know that if your needle can't go anywhere, you know it's time to step up there. Okay, so there's my space. So now I'm going to switch back to my matte bead. So I pick up a bead, I skip the bead of the same color, and I go through a bead. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through a bead. And Mary Ellen, I did see your question about counting rows, so I'm going to count rows for you in just a second. Be careful here. This is something I want to show you. See how my thread gets around this cord sometimes? This is why I'm working at the end of this rubber tubing, because if I'm working at the end, my cord doesn't want to come around and lock in there. So work on the end, off the end of your rubber, and as you go, push it up to just expose a little piece here that you're working on. And then your tube will grow here. Okay? And seriously, people are saying, oh, I wish I had the patience to do this. I mean, know thyself for sure. You know, if you know that you don't enjoy stitching, then, you know, then let's do wire or something bigger, right? But also, I don't want you to be afraid of a project like this. I mean, simply do a little bit of practicing, right? And tubular peyote, you don't have to have the tube, the rubber tube inside. The reason that I have the rubber tube, and that's coming up, is because I put that that bead on it, and I'll show you. So just hang tight with me for a second. Okay. How am I doing on time? Not too badly. So I want to make sure. Okay, so here, this is my gig right here, right? I'm gonna have to step up. So I pick up my bead, I skip this bead, I go through and the one next to it, so I've stepped up. Okay. So the other way I want to show you now how to count these beads. Okay, so I'll show you here. And Mary Ellen, this one especially is for you because you mentioned it here. Let's start to count my rows from this mat, and then I'll talk about the design and stuff. But from this metal seed bead section right here. Okay? If you look, let me get it close to the camera. And I'm going to start from where my thumb is. I just want to count this section. That's the shiny beads here. Okay? The pewter beads. So I count actually 2 rows. This bead and the bead next to it. So I'm going to go in a zigzag pattern. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Because remember, each row that you put on is kind of only half a row, if that makes sense, because each row offsets the one below it. So if I just counted 1 row here, I would only have 10, okay? Or you can do this, you can count 1 row and then you can count the row next to it, and that gives you the number of rows that you have, okay? If that makes sense. So let me talk to you about the pattern here, because, you know, if you watch me for any length of time, I'm not really a pattern kind of gal so much, but I wanted to give you some ideas about the length and stuff like that with this. So let me get rid of this one and we'll go to this. So what I did, and you can, like if you're just making a round tubular peyote stitch piece, right? And you want this round tubular peyote without the, if you're not using the bead, sorry about that, I'm tightening my camera again. If you want to use if you're not using the bead or whatever, and you just want the round tube, right? You would just bring this around and zip it up, okay, like so. And if you wanted that rigid base to peyote around, you could use like a straw. People are mentioning a straw, like a coffee stirrer, or you could use like a knitting needle, stuff like that. Okay. So let's look at this pattern just real quick like here. The pattern that I've got is 20 rows of the pewter, okay? And then 3 sets of 3 rows of the metal beads, okay? So that section, I measured it, measures about 1.5 inches, okay? And so if you want to figure your length, every section that looks like this is about 1.5 inches. Now, as you bring this around, now those of you who do metalsmithing, right, will remember this. When you cut a ring band, okay, the ring band, your stock, when it's flat, if it measures the exact same circumference as your finger and you bring it around, it's going to be too small, right? Because the inside diameter gets smaller in this ring, okay? So I am making this length. My wrist size is about 6.5 inches, okay? This length with the bead, and I like my things a little loose, it's going to be about 8.25, because when I circularize it, right, when I put it into a circle, that interior is going to be a little smaller, okay? So I'm actually probably going to go up to about 8.5 inches or so here, all right? But you need to measure as you go around, which is why I've given you a foot of cord so that you've got plenty to work with, okay? There's a question here. Can you use the circular peyote and then add the rubber tube or leather afterward? I find that it's kind of hard to get this round circular peyote on the cord because it's kind of sticky. I would recommend starting around the cord and going from there and then letting it build. Now, if you'll notice, so I've been working on this for the past few days, and some of you know I've moved and I'm busy and I'm commuting back and forth with Bead Shop, and it's been kind of crazy, right? So, so I wasn't paying attention last night. So I made this section, you can see that pattern, this section, this section, this section, and when I got to this section, wah, wah, right? I only did one of the 3 rows of metal beads here, okay? But I'm not mad at it, right? I'm just gonna let it go. And I've used every single one of these pewter beads here. So if I need to elongate this on this end and on this end, I can use my other beads here, my matte silver, or I can use more of my metal beads. I also have a nice bit of thread on both ends, so I'm going to go ahead and just add a few right here on each end. And I'm going to go at Kate speed because I don't want to run out of time. Okay. There's also a question about, do I take into account the twist of the rows? I do. I spread it out a little bit here, And so, but the actual twist, since I do that step up, it doesn't have that jog in the pattern. You can see that there's just a nice line that goes all the way across. Okay, so I'm going to finish this up with a few of the metal beads, and I'm going to show you how to weave the ends back through. And the way that you weave the ends back through is also the way that you would add your thread. I hope I've got enough thread here. I'm going to play thread roulette. So I'm coming in, just adding those metal beads right where they go into that little section. You can see here's my step up. So I come in, right? I could just mirror the mistake right on the other end, or I could tear it out. I tore out a few of these rows when I was making this. It's not the end of the world. But I'm going to just do this double. And since this pattern is so subtle, you can get away with a few, a few flaws, and who's to know, right? So here we go. And this one here. And this one here. Okay, and step up. Now I've got 2 rows of metal beads. Can you see that? Here we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to go in a zigzag 1 row here at the angle, 2 rows, 3 rows right here. And then I'm going to come back to that second row, so I'm going in a square. Can you see that? I'm stitching kind of on the back of itself. And then I guess I'll repeat that. I'll go down through that one, up through this one. See how I'm just stitching squares like this? That's it. Then I'll come in and under a little bit of tension, I'll clip that thread away. Whoops, that's not my thread snip, that's my plier. There we go. They look the same. All right, now this one, I'm going to do the same thing, but let's say that we had to add thread onto this side, okay? What I would do, I would have this needle threaded, and I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd count back 5 rows, and I'd insert my needle with the thread on it, and just weave it in those little boxes, those little squares, all the way back until it came out where my thread came out here. Okay, like this. Then I'd have my new thread in place. I'd take my old thread and I'd weave it back. I always add my new thread before my old thread gets taken out, because it really will show me where I'm going with this. So hang tight, you guys. I've gotta get this finished here. I'm really gonna be pressed for time, but I think our next presenter, I might have a little bit of wiggle room, so I'm gonna try and finish as close to on time, as close to on time as I can here. Bear with me here just a moment. And there we go. Who's next? Jill McKay. And Jill starts at 12:15. Great. So I have just a a few minutes. So I didn't want to overlap Jill. So I just wanted to make sure of that. So let me go ahead again at Kate speed and stitch this in. And you can find while I'm stitching this, I'll tell you guys, and I showed it at the beginning and it's also on the page. I've got 2 offers for both websites today. On my website, Kate Richburg Jewelry, where I have listed, you can see the Great Bead Extravaganza supplies. If you put in the order notes free beads, I'm going to dive into my stash and I'm going to send you some free beads with your order, handpicked by me. And I guarantee you're going to like them 100%. If you want additional seed beads or to go shopping on the beadshop.com website, I have a coupon code for you. It's TGBE20. That'll knock 20% off your entire cart at beadshop.com. And both of these offers are good through Monday night at midnight Pacific time. So Bead Shop has a discount of 20% with TGBE20, and Kate Richburg Jewelry has free beads in your order, which I know you're going to love. All right, let's do this final step up. Let's weave this bad boy back in, and now let's add this bead. Okay. Now we're going to glue. Now don't let gluing make you fearful. Okay. Just chillax. And someone said, oh, they ordered too quickly. It's okay, depending on where you ordered. If you ordered with me at Kate Richburg Jewelry, just email me. You can email me at kate@beadshop.com if you want, or katerichburg@gmail, and add the free beads if you ordered from my website, or if you ordered from Bead Shop, go ahead and email info@beadshop.com and we'll take care of you. Okay, we'll get that 20% off for you there. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure and add these sliders in, because I don't want to glue it and have these sliders sticking around. Okay. There's also a question about, instead of stitching together to make a bracelet, is there a way to add a button? I'm sure there is, but it's beyond the scope of what we're doing today. Okay. So, but it's a great idea. Maybe I'll visit that sometime. So what I want to do is, when I'm gluing this in, I want to glue it about halfway into my piece here, because I want to make sure that the closure comes over and is right inside here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to measure. See how this is the full length of the bead. Can you see that? This side here, I'm going to come in with my scissors and I'm going to cut that away, and I'm going to cut it nice and straight across. See that there? So now I'm going to come in on this other side and I'm going to cut about that much away. Okay, so they're going to meet right there. Okay. So it's going to sit just like so. Okay, so I'm going to come in. Let me get my, I like to make sure that I don't get any glue on my velvet pad here. So remember, your sliders are on. You could also finish this with glue and a magnetic clasp. You sure could, right? So I'm going to kind of compact these ends down just a little bit so I've got room here. See how I'm kind of pulling this so it's kind of bunched here? So I'm going to get you could use different glue if you have Zap or something else, you could use it, but I want something that is a fast setting glue. So I'm using the Super New glue. You could also use Zap if you have it. But I'm going to go ahead and slide that bead on. See how I've pulled it back so I've got some length, I've got some room here. Very carefully, kids. One drop. That's it. See? One drop and glue it together. Now I'm going to hold that there while we just envision a good outcome, right? And as I ease up on that, yep, that's why you want a glue that is really, what do I want to say, that really is fast drying, right? That's fast drying. So now I'm going to bring my threads or my tube back up and spread it out, right? Spread it out. So you can see, and I'm also going to get the cap on my glue here. And since I'm kind of under the gun for time, you guys, I would not screw around with this too much until this glue has set. But that super glue, I mean, it's in there. All right, so here we go, and I've got my sliders on. Look at this. And then I've got this here. I've got my two pieces. So that's it. So this guy goes on. And this guy, what you want to do is you kind of want to slide it on kind of carefully. And again, if this weren't demo time, I would let this sit 24 hours before I did anything. And what I can also do, if you've got a little bit of space, you can put just a touch of glue on the end and push those seed beads right up against it. Or what I can also do now that it's closed, I can come in and do like one more row of stitching here to close that up. I could do that. Okay, so that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm glad you guys like it. I love them too. I really, really do. I'm going to go ahead and put my camera up here so you can see me here. And let me do this. And let me show you this. Yeah, 15s would also close the gap. So if you've got 15s at home, you can just zip that gap up with the 15s. But that's it. Here's our two precious nuggets. Okay, like so. So let me flash those offers for you one more time. Here we go. Two codes for you today. KateRichbergJewelry.com, where I have the bangles and the sliders, and I've got these special seed beads, all that kind of stuff. Enter free beads in the order notes, and I'm going to send you a bead treat with your order. If you want to shop all the seed beads, all the everything else, jump over to beadshop.com and enter TGBE20, and you'll save 20% store-wide on beadshop.com. And these offers are good through 11/15/21. Okay. This is also in the Great Bead Extravaganza group. I've posted it. And to watch this on replay, you guys, it'll be in the group, and it'll also be over on my YouTube channel. You can find me at Kate Richberg on YouTube, and it'll be there for you to watch the replay when you're ready. So I'm really excited to see what you guys do with this. The list, if you jump over, the materials list is over on the website. If you just jump over to Kate Richburg Jewelry, you'll see a little square like this, and it'll say the Great Bead Extravaganza supplies. Click on that, and it'll be a list, and it has all the stuff underneath it. You just have to click and shop. So thank you so much, you guys, for your continued support of me, of Bead Shop, of our small businesses, of all the wonderful small businesses here on the Great Bead Extravaganza. It's been a crazy year. And the reason that this whole group was formed, I'm getting a little misty, but the reason that this whole group was formed was to bring all of these small businesses, all of our friends up together with us so we could survive in these difficult times. You know, there's a light here at the end of the tunnel, and we are so, so grateful for your support over this past year. All of our companies. And we are so excited to continue the Great Bead Extravaganza, celebrating our 1 year anniversary with this Fall Fest and seeing what great things we have coming in the future. So, with a great, full, and thankful heart, I thank you. I thank my wonderful fellow beaders on this trip with me. And I will see you every Wednesday and Friday on the beadshop.com, social, and YouTube, as well as on some weekends with metalsmithing content right on my Kate Richburg YouTube and social. So thank you. Thank you. We really, really appreciate you. And I'll see you guys soon. Next up is the majorly fantastic and uber talented, and I'm always in awe of her projects, my great bead trade partner, the wonderful and talented Jill McKay. She'll be up on the half hour. No, on the quarter hour. No. The quarter hour. So you don't want to miss her. So don't go in a half hour. Go in 15 minutes. So thank you. Thank you. And the quick question was, does the bangle come in any other finishes? I only made it in brass because I love brass. So that's it. Maybe someday I'll get them plated, but for now, brass. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you. We'll see you soon.